Hi, everybody. It's Mike Taggart again. This is a fly that every tire should learn to make, and it's every fisherman should have in their box. This is the famous woolly bugger. I'm going to tie it for you in black, which is a very common productive color, especially on dark days. Uh, this is a fly that's going to need a little bit of weight to it, so I'm using a tungsten bead. This is a number 4 3x long streamer hook. I get this hook from Wholesale Fly Company. The other components are some black marabou, a black hackle, that's a hen hackle. Then we're also going to use some bugger chenille. You notice the nice little colors in there. You can use anything. I have a lot of friends who tie this with just some good chenille yarn. Don't get it too fat. The fatter you make it, the bigger the hook you're going to need, kind of thing. And then I'm using, for my thread, I'm using a very heavy thread. This is a 240 or 240 denier. So if you go into the aught size, that's somewhere in the neighborhood of about a 3/0. But you can see it's also very fibrous right there. We're going to need that because we've got a lot of stuff going on. The final component I'm going to add is some ultra wire by UTC, brassy size copper. That's going to go in as well. Now, here we go. First thing we're going to do is we're going to catch our thread right behind the bead. Get a nice little ball there started. And we're going to put a nice bed of thread all the way down to the hook bend right there. I'm going to trim that off. You may see me snap thread off every now and then, but this stuff is so heavy, if you try to do that, you'll cut your finger with it. A little quick trip with the chenille here, a little quick tip, is take and get it wet. That's right, I just licked my fingers and wet the chenille down. That makes it a little bit easier to handle. Let's see how it stays a little bit more compact. That'll dry out. The fish don't mind if you spit on them. All right, so we're going to go about a hook shank and a half. Okay, so a little bit longer than a hook shank. I'm going to put that on there, pinch it down, give it a good holding loop right there. A couple of good holding loops. And I'm going to tie this down on top of the hook. Now, there's some folks who want you to put the wire on before you do this. If you do, that's great. It's not going to hurt anything, but I find it's better for me if I do it this way. I'm going to trim that little excess off. I'm going to tie it down right behind the bead. I'm just going to build up a big old fat body on this. Putting those tightening wraps all the way down, that's going to hold all of that fuzz right on down there in place. I'm not too worried if some of that marabou sticks up. It's going to get so much stuff on here, it's going to get buried anyway. Okay. Now I've come back down a little bit because I'm going to put my copper wire right here underneath the bead. Just stick it right in the bead there, and I'm going to tie it down. Now I'm going to go all the way to the back of the fly. There we go. I'm going to take some of the chenille. I'm going to trim it off because it's easier than fighting this card. You don't need to, but it's good practice too. I'm going to tie this chenille down, starting back here in the back. A little marabou hang on there. There we go. And we're just going to tie that down all the way down. And then we're going to go back up. Okay, so this is where we're at. At this point, we're going to take our chenille. Now, I'm going to bring my thread all the way back here to the back, and back up one more time. There we go. Now we're going to wrap that chenille. We're going to start right here. Nice, tight, next to each other wraps. Bring that on around. All the way up to the head of the fly. Especially if you're a beginner, using a bead not only adds weight, but I find it's also easier to handle. Gives you a good finish there without having to fight the end. Now, this is some fun. We're going to take our hackle and we're going to stroke the fibers back. You see it open up like that. And I'm going to tie, see how it's curved? Shiny side up. I'm going to tie this little tip in here. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to palmer this around. Now this doesn't have to be like it would on a dry fly. We're putting some action on this fly. And I'm going to bend that around. I lost my grip there for a second. So we're going to palmer that right on around. Palmering is the act of big and wide open wraps. Lots of fuzz sticking out there. That's what makes that woolly bugger so woolly. You can use a bigger hackle on here if you want. You can use a smaller hackle on here if you want. If you wiggle it a little bit like that, it gets it in there. Now I'm going to hold on to the end of this, and I'm going to very simply grab that with my wire. Quite oftentimes, guys will put a little bit of flash in there in the tail. That's okay. Like I said, you can get as intense with this as you want. Now, as I bring this wire around, I'm just kind of wiggling it to get it in between, and I'm going the opposite direction that I wrap that fly on, because that's going to hold that hackle in place. Now, this is not an award-winning fly. It doesn't have to be. And the purpose of using this for this video is so that you can see how easy it is to get a fly that will fish. And yeah, you can make these real pretty if you want. And I encourage you to try and do that. Now, you'll see I've got a nice taper from the front to the back. All of that's going to move some water, make some bubbles in the water as we go. Final step on this is to put a whip finish right here behind all of this. That will tie it down. And you can also come in here with a little bit of Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. Let that go on there and dry in place, and that'll hold that fly just nice and secure. That's a great little fly. If you see that you've got some of the hackle fibers are all clumped up in here, go on ahead, pick them out, do whatever you need to make it somewhat more. The biggest reason this fly works is because bubbles attack this fly. they get building up around it. And as you strip it through the water, those bubbles will release. It creates a lot of action, and the fish really love it. So that is our woolly bugger. All right, my name is Mike Taggart, and this is Attainable Flies. Sorry, I got affordable on my brain here. Very simple fly. Fish with it, enjoy it, have a good time with it. Thanks a lot. Talk to you next time.